All right, so heading over to the NBA, our favorite subject, it seems like now, COVID
Yes.
19
Yes.
vaccinations or whatnot. Unvaccinated, vaccinated, don't really matter. But today we had some NBA staffers that came out in an ESPN article and said, "Hey, listen, we vaccinated. We don't feel comfortable being with mixed up with the unvaccinated." We got some comments out of LeBron James. We got some comments out of Bradley Beal, and etc. So, with that said, what's going on with the NBA right now? Why are they pitching a fit over COVID all of a sudden? Why the vaccinated don't like the unvaccinated and vice versa?
This is a racket. That's yeah. In 3 words, that's the bottom line of it. Here you have and look, let me just say, I have some sympathy with the these team staffers or these team employees who are required to be vaccinated. And it appears that they just don't have a good union. The NBA Players Association has like came out and said, look, we're not starting the a mandatory vaccination policy is a non-starter in whatever negotiations they have between themselves and the league. So that's where the issue is. The league officials, maybe some of the front office guys, employees that work in these arenas, they don't have the union that's bringing the juice and like fighting some of these mandates. So I get where they're coming from of that, because I do believe there's something to be said for, well, if I got to do this, and why don't the players have to do it? I get it. My thing is, I don't think any of it should. I don't think we should have these type of mandates anywhere. And I'm just, but the bigger picture to where you let us in. Um, if you're vaccinated, um, what risk does an unvaccinated person pose to you? Like, what is the big deal? If you got the vaccine and you believe in the vaccine, then you should feel protected, because that's the whole point of the vaccine. So you should feel fine just going around living your life, interacting with whoever. And that's the whole point. That's why we, Operation Warp Speed, through all types of money at it. We, put every public and private resource into trying to, figure out a solution. And yet we're going on. It's getting close to, these vaccines being out. It won't be long. It'll be a year that they've been out, and yet somehow the situation continues to deteriorate on multiple fronts. And these vaccines are starting to turn into more of a little bit, in some respects, more of a curse than a blessing, because drink we I hate to keep harping on this point, but we were led to believe, get the vaccine, we get enough people vaccinated, we can go back to normal. That's what all this is about. People, and I can't imagine there's a big subset of people who are happy with going out with going out in public and having to cover their face while at the same time taking the vaccine. I can't imagine that's something that people are enjoying. And yet, I mean, the NBA, I'm looking at this right here. It says they're at about what, 90%? Drink, I don't know. Like, that's got to be, I don't know what the percentage is on herd immunity. And I know that's like a unpopular thing to talk about, and maybe it's like taboo or something. But I think 90% is pretty good. And it's probably, I mean, you get to a point, Drink, like, and we've known this, I think, for months now. Like, there's plenty of people are going to get it for whatever reason, and it's becoming less and less of a choice in a lot of different, sects of society. And that's including included is this professional sports. We're seeing that. And so, I mean, but as you continue, as the numbers rise, there's only so much farther you can get, because some people are just not going to get this for whatever reason.
Right.
Some of them valid, some of them I think extremely valid reasons, whether it's medical, whether it's not medical, where it's anything. I don't much really care what the reason is. I just think people should have the right to do. People should have the right to choose what medicine they take. And some of these, I'm reading through some of these quotes in these ESPN and stories. One of them, I'm trying to look for them, right now. I'm having trouble finding it, but there was something in here that said, I'm having trouble finding it right off top of my head, or on one of these stories. But basically, I think there was a head athletic trainer that I read that said, these are no longer um, private health decisions. These are in fact public health decisions. Drink. That's about the biggest crock I've ever heard in my life. That's it. That's ridiculous. That is foolish. I know I read it in here somewhere. I couldn't find it just now, but that was a direct line of thinking that I saw. Drink. That is something that we should absolutely reject wholeheartedly. These are in no way, shape, or form public health decisions. And if they are, I really miss the light switch that got flipped to where, because we haven't done this for anything else. Drink. Nobody's going out here and getting their little flu shot stickers. Said, "Hey, I got the flu shot this year," and wearing their little flu shot necklaces, or saying, I got, you know, when I went to Japan, I didn't get my smallpox sticker vaccine, or say, "Hey, I got my third dose of the anthrax shot this week." Like, really, really cool. No one does this on anything else. This is a new phenomenon as it relates to the coronavirus vaccine. And I will say on the front of, like, we have society, we have allowed ourselves to become very comfortable with just talking about our vaccination status, which I don't care for that, but that is what we've allowed to happen. And now people are saying, are like really comfortable with that and saying, "Oh, well, yeah, these are public health decisions." No, they're not. We just allowed them to be. But these medical decisions still are centered on the rights of the individual. And I've said this in written form. I'll say it out loud here. Drink. If we don't have the right to control what medicine we take, then what power do we have? Because now you're losing control of really truly one of the only things you can control, which is your own body. And I think that's something that should be very troubling for all of us. I do also want to point out to one of the individuals who's somewhat under the microscope, which is Golden State Warriors forward Andrew Wiggins, who appears to not want the vaccine, but he plays for the Golden State Warriors, which means he's in San Francisco, and that is one of the, for lack of maybe not the most appropriate term here, but that's an authoritarian place right now. They are not allowing any exemptions for any reason whatsoever for anybody over the age of 12, I believe, to be vaccinated, because that's what the FDA has ruled on the Pfizer vaccine, which I can't believe. I hope that's getting challenged left and right. I hope lawyers are all over this and they sue the city for this nonsense. I can't imagine that's something that's happening in this country, but it is. And now you have Wiggins in a situation where, if he doesn't get the vaccine, I'm pretty sure what we're looking at is he's not going to be able to participate in home games. So, which is odd, because let me think of it like this. And it goes back to the point where, like, if everyone else is vaccinated, let's just say you have 25,000 people that come to a game at the Chase Center, and Andrew Wiggins is the only person that's not vaccinated. I think we're going to be fine, Drink. I really do. I think Now I will say you do have breakthrough cases. We've seen it. We saw it with the New Orleans Saints coaching staff. They had eight coaches test positive. I'm wondering about that. I'm not saying the vaccines are a little faulty, but I am going to say, when you have 8 coaches from the same coaching staff test positive in the same amount of time, I think we should ask questions and say, how did this happen? Like, you got a supposedly 100% vaccination status from the whole coaching staff. We went through the numbers in a previous episode where the GM was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be, at 80 or 90% or whatever it was about a regular season." So I mean, that team is at herd immunity, in my view, in my non-medical opinion. So I just, the bottom line, I think this is just foolish, and we're just so divided on something that really should not be so public. And I think, if you haven't taken the vaccine, so what at this point? I think we're getting to a point where, and you'll notice this if you listen to public officials, like, the the number that is acceptable is, it used to be what, 75, 80%. Like, hey, I think that's the point we need to make. And I get like, I don't know what we are now. It's a couple of weeks ago, we were at like 55% fully vaccinated. But you also have to consider like the people who are available to take the vaccine, because it's not approved for everybody under a certain age. So if you take that into account, it was like in the low to mid 60s. And then you have to also account for, well, how many people have had COVID and recovered from COVID. You probably can, those people have a level of protection against the virus too. You have to take that in consideration. I think we're in good shape, but now you just had the president come out and say, after he gets the old booster shot, well, I think we need to get to 97 and 98%. Really. You talk about moving the goalposts. We're moving them a considerable amount. When we get, what if we get to 97%? Are we going to have to get to 101%? And if so, how would we even go about doing that? So I know it's a very simplified statement to open up, but I'll just close where I began. This is a racket, and I don't get it at all.
I can't disagree with your point that this seemed like some shall I say tomfoolery, but hold up, we talking about COVID-19, so we can't undermine what this virus is doing to people, the pandemic, and it shut down the country. Yet it's still FDA to approve Pfizer. All the professional leagues will tell us that, hey, we're gonna be like 90%. Let's go. Here's my problem with all this. Instead of us talking about fans returning to the NBA game, because you see the greatness we got in baseball and football, and,
no doubt,
with the fans back,
football stadiums are lit.
Football stadiums lit, baseball stadiums lit. Everybody ratings have went through the roof since fans have returned back to the game. So I'm sitting here waiting to hear, can't wait to have the fans back in here. We're going to have the stadium at max capacity. I mean, not stadium, arena. And I understand. In basketball, that is an indoors arena. I got it. You're going to run into more restrictions than you will an outside stadium. Yet and still, I'm fine with hearing, hey, we're going to be at 75% capacity. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. Instead, I got to hear LeBron James defend his point. I got to hear Bradley Beal defend his point. I got to hear Andrew Wiggins defend his point. The poor popcorn man got to defend his point. This is like, it just comes to a point where I'm like, what, is the NBA news cycle a little dry? Is that what's going on here? Oh, because why? I just don't get it. Like, if Andrew Wiggins decides that he's not going to get vaccinated, which is his right, well, so be it. I watched the Lakers play a whole season with KCP on, like, he was on like parole or something. Like, he couldn't play. I'm not even making this up. This happened probably like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
He couldn't play road games because he was on probation and he couldn't leave the state.
Wow.
He couldn't leave the state. Remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and they made it through that season with him being on parole. The next season, everything went back to normal. I'm saying that not to beat up on Caldwell Pope, but what I'm saying is Golden State can survive if Wiggins can't play home games. Will it suck for the Golden State fans? Yes. You got a guy, you paying a guy a lot of money, and you can't even go watch him play live. I got that. However, this is bigger than what the fans think. If he does not want to get the vaccination, so be it. He plays, like you said, he play in a state that ain't messing around. They're very strict on their rules, and that's what it is. It is what it is. Same thing with Kyrie. I guess Kyrie got the same thing. He's gonna run into the same issue in New York.
Right.
So be it. Like Kevin Durant, he's like, okay, if you don't play, that's his choice. Like, whatever. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna play these games, man. He can't play, he can't play. So my whole point of this is we need to move on for this. I want to talk about the fans coming back. I want to talk about the juice flowing again. I want to talk about the energy in the arenas. I want to talk about what the Lakers gonna look like opening day, what the Nets gonna look like opening day. I want to talk about the fact that the Nets and the Lakers and now the Nuggets and Golden State are the only 4 teams with 3 max players on the roster. Let's talk about that. Instead, we over here talking about, hey, well, I just want to keep that private. Oh no, you can't keep that private. We need to know. Like I'm just, what are we doing here? I don't give a rat's ass if Bradley Beal goes and get vaccinated. I don't. Let me tell you what I care about. If Bradley Beal decides he want to leave the Wizards and go to another team, that's what I care about. I don't care that Andrew Wiggins can't play home games. Let me tell you what I do care about. If he ever live up to that max contract, so I can have something to talk about. That's what I want. That's what I'm into. That's what I'm interested in. Listen, respect people's choices. That's all I'm saying. Respect their choices. And for the players, as this keeps continuing, when the NBA drop the hammer, which I'm feeling like they will here soon, and they say if you're not vaccinated, you won't be able to play no games, or you won't be able to do this, that, and third, or whatever the restriction gonna be, just prepare yourself for that. Remember that. You made the choice not to get vaccinated. Please prepare yourself for the consequences. Let's talk about something else, folks. Let's, me and Jay, we've been making a good, good living per se, not necessarily living, but we've been making,
Filling up the airtime.
Right. All right. We've been filling up the airtime. That's a better way of putting it. With COVID, so we're not gonna sit. I'm not gonna sit here and I don't want to talk about COVID ever because it's doing well for us. Yeah. However, it's just so many other stories that's bigger that we can talk about that I just think will be more profitable for the game itself, for the fans itself, for the listeners, the watchers, whatever have you. That we got to stop turning everything into a COVID conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Lakers got 6 future Hall of Famers on the team. And we sitting here talking about, hey, LeBron, what do you think about so-and-so getting the back? Let's talk about
In regards to the media, just making this the front and center issue, that's just another example of just the lack of a functioning media in this country. That just this is basketball. This is the NBA, and I completely agree with what you're saying. Let's talk about something that matters. Let's talk about the Bucks coming out here and defending this title. Let's talk about the Nets big 3. Let's talk about Philly and what there is. Can they get Ben Simmons back in the fold? These are some of the things we should be looking at. And it's such a smart point you brought up about Caldwell Pope. That's something I wouldn't even think about. But you think about a guy on probation that couldn't play. Certain games, he couldn't leave the state or something was happening. Right. And I don't remember that being as big a deal as this is right now, which is odd because I don't remember what the situation was, but it was something criminal. It was some law breaking that I guess happened. I don't remember everything that went on, but this is completely different and way less of a big deal in my opinion. And I did find that quote, by the way, from a Western Conference head athletic trainer. Of course, it'd be the Western Conference. It's probably some California nut job. People want to draw it as a personal health decision, but it's not. It's a public health decision. Drake, that's the type of quote that if this was not a family program, I'd be raising holy hell right now. Because that's just one of those things that you shouldn't allow that quote to stand if you're a member of the media and you're writing this story. Matter of fact, who wrote this story? Let me go up top. Baxter Holmes. Yeah, Mr. Holmes. Where was the follow-up question there? Because I'd like an explanation on that one. How do you tell me why that an individual, me or you or Andrew Wiggins or whoever it may be, their decision on getting the vaccine is a public health choice? I would like to know. That's something that we should demand answers on.